So you have an absolute mountain of deadlines and you have no idea how you're going to get them done because you're not motivated. Well, fear not, because this video I'm going to be teaching you my best tips to stay motivated and productive with online learning. Step one is to make things easier for yourself. So what I personally like to do is get things out ready for the next morning when I want to start doing stuff. So for example, if I'm going to be working on something the next day, I like to open it up to the page where I'm going to be doing that work, laying that out open, so then it's all there set ready to go for the morning. So then instinctively when you wake up you see it, it's all ready, it's all there. You minimize the struggles of having to go, oh, I need to just get that work out or do that kind of thing. In addition to this, I also find that writing stuff down will really help in knowing what you're doing for the next day. So just write out your to-do list, and you can do it right now, of what you're going to do for the next day, and write it down in detail, because the more detail you have, the easier it's going to be to sit down and do that thing. Like, make it specific. Don't just say study tomorrow, because studying, what does that mean? What study are you going to do? What thing are you going to do? Like, it's so vague. Whereas write down something more specific, such as I'm going to go over lecture slides 1 to 5, followed by I'm going to then go over and do some proofreading of an essay I've just written to make sure that that's going well. And then whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to also be highlighting. So do that kind of thing and it'll make life so much easier, trust me. It's like a lot of people when they say they want to go to the gym in the morning, some people even wear their stuff to bed. Like, that's what you almost need to be doing, is kind of getting yourself in a state where you're ready to do that thing as soon as you wake up. In addition to this, I'd say that the more specific it is, the better, because like I said, if it's vague, you're less likely to follow through with that, because who knows what you're doing. Whereas make it specific, make them small tasks and manageable, so if you can start ticking them off as you go along, it's so much easier to get in that like flow state of work and wanting to do stuff. Okay, step 2, remove all distractions. So I am an absolute devil when it comes to my phone. I'm always on it, and when I'm trying to do work, it's always distracting me, because if I'm in like a conversation, I'm trying to do some work, I'll then just have the urge to kind of flick through some social media while waiting for a response. So delete social media. This can be a temporary fix where you just delete it whilst you're doing your work and then you can reinstall it. I know there's ways that you can get about it by blocking it and stuff, but if it's just gone from your phone entirely, it really makes a difference. Obviously, reinstall it afterwards if you want to carry on using it. Remove your phone from the equation, and one of the best ways I think that you can do this is by having accountability. And by doing that, give it to a friend and say, only let me have my phone back once I've completed my work and I've showed you that I've completed my work. Alternatively, if you don't have someone in the house that you can give your phone to, hide it. Put it in like a different room in the house, like somewhere where you'd have to get up and like walk to go get it. Step 3, I would say, is to stop working. I know this sounds crazy, but sometimes the best thing to do is for you to go outside and just take a walk outside in nature. This really helps in terms of clearing your mind and getting rid of any of those distractions that you had. When you're on that walk, don't bring your phone, or if you are bringing your phone, don't go on your phone when you're on your walk. I'd also suggest not wearing headphones and listening to music, because whilst I find that it's really nice to do that, I feel like when you're trying to get in that flow of work, it's nice to kind of just like breathe fresh air, listen to the sounds of the outside, and just kind of like clear your head. And then I'd say just before you're getting back to do your work, when you know you're about 10 minutes away from home, I would say then start thinking about what work you're going to be doing when you step in the door. And when you do step back in the door, if a friend's there or a family member, don't speak to them. Obviously say hi and stuff like that, but don't get into that conversation with them, because as soon as you do that, you'll get distracted. At least I would anyway. So if you kind of remove that entirely to start with, you're not going to get distracted. Obviously if you want to make a cup of tea or something, do that, but obviously you do run the risk of someone coming into the kitchen, for example, and having a chat, and then you get distracted again. So when you're coming back from the walk, think about what you want to do, think about what piece of work you're going to start with and how you're going to go about doing it, and kind of even try and get yourself excited about it if you can. I know that's difficult when you want to be motivated and you're not. If you don't have time to go on a walk, I'd always suggest doing some exercise instead of this, whether it's just getting up from your bed, up from your chair, and just like doing some press-ups, some sit-ups, like jogging on the spot. Just get like the energy flowing. It removes you from being fidgety, because obviously if you're just sat on your phone scrolling away, just sat at your desk or on your bed, like you're just sat in like one position, and if you try and do work, you end up kind of being a bit like, ooh, like you almost want to like reach out and grab your phone or something like that. So get that energy out of you, and obviously when you're doing that, it creates dopamine, and dopamine releases like hormones in your brain and stuff like that, that makes you feel good about yourself. Like when you feel happier, you're way more likely to want to do work. Step number 4 is improve your lifestyle. I know I'm not exactly one to talk, as I have the sleep schedule of an actual hedgehog. However, I really recommend getting good sleep, because it really does help, and there's psychological research to back this up in terms of increasing productivity during your days. And obviously if you have a set sleep schedule, say from 11 till 9, that's going to really help. So your body knows every single day when you're going to bed and when you're waking up, and then from that you can be way more productive during your days. This also means that you don't have to rely on stronger and stronger coffee every time you're needing that boost. I recommend getting some good water, because keeping your fluids up makes sure that you're hydrated firstly, and it also powers your brain. In addition to this, especially for me, because I'm awful at it, but water will prevent you from snacking, because when I snack I want to put my feet up, I'm procrastinating, so water prevents all that. Step 5 is creating a wall chart, and you may think, why are you wanting a wall chart? However, a wall chart works kind of like a Snapchat streak or a Duolingo streak, for example, one of those things, and psychologically as humans, you're way more inclined to want to keep a streak going. I don't know the exact science behind it, so I'd highly recommend that you create yourself a little wall chart. I'm making just like a simple one out of paper, however, it works, and I've used this before, and I know it works. So, this may just look like a few boxes, however, this can be the key to your motivation for long-term success. I like to get myself a red pen, and what I'm going to do is each day I'll put like a number in corresponding to like the calendar date. Obviously make one for each month would be ideal. You don't have to do it on paper. I'd highly suggest you be sustainable and do it on like a whiteboard or even online, although I personally think that one that you can see every single day is going to be better. So every single day that you do your thing, for example, whether it's studying for 1 hour straight without distractions. So if you do that each day, then what you can do is you can just put a massive red X in that box. And psychologically, you may be looking at this thinking, right, I don't think that'll work for me. However, trust me, once you have like a good few days going, you want to keep it going, because you're like, yeah, I'm doing that streak well. So I'd highly recommend that you put it somewhere that you're going to see all the time. For example, if I say put it here on my wardrobe, I'm going to see that every single day that I wake up, every single day that I'm sat at my desk doing work. Right, so that is now up, and I can now hold myself accountable for every single time I do that studying. Obviously you can set your own parameters, however it's good to have something that's not too easy and not too difficult. Have something that's attainable and that you know that you can reach, or even push the boat out a little bit. And quite honestly, it can become addictive, and I highly recommend before you finish the first wall chart, make another one. Like, make that other one as part of your work so you can have it up, so you can kind of continue straight away. And I'd keep that first wall chart up for a little bit so you can kind of like still see the kind of like crosses that you don't want to like break as such. Because if you just kind of like wipe it out entirely and then you have to start afresh, it's kind of like you've like lost your streak in a sense, and start from scratch sucks. Like if you've ever lost a Snapchat streak, it sucks. But it can be addictive and you can do it and you can smash this. My next step is step 6, and that is to make it fun. This sounds simple and stupid, but one of the things that I like to do is just like, for example, put music on. It sounds stupid and basic, but it works to get concentrated. Although, if you're putting music on, don't don't put on stuff that you're gonna sing along to, don't put on stuff that you're gonna just kind of vibe to. But when you're choosing music, either I'd say choose something that's kind of like lo-fi or like hasn't got lyrics, maybe it's in a different language, or just stuff that's kind of like chill coffee shop vibes. So stuff that you're not going to get distracted with, but it's still there to kind of like keep you motivated when you kind of like have those lulls. So it kind of keeps you going as such. And I find that music is really good to ease you into that flow state that I've been talking about. So the flow state, I'd say, is a state where time almost becomes motionless and you're in a state of deep concentration and like nothing is distracting you. And it's the perfect state to work in, and music really helps me ease into that. Although one thing I would find is that playing through a speaker really helps me more so than listening through my headphones. Obviously don't do it when you're reading, because if you're reading you want to concentrate and music won't help you for that. I know some people say that it will. Personally it doesn't, because I mean if you've got music that doesn't have lyrics, feel free to read with it, because you can't get distracted by words. Following on from this, I think if you gamify your work in some ways, it makes it more fun. Like, one thing I quite like to do is to kind of like pace up and down a little bit and like stand up and like speak and like share my thoughts out loud. Although you will forget them, so go on your phone and click on voice notes, and the voice notes will be able to record what you're saying. It just makes it a bit easier, especially when you have lots of ideas flowing around in your brain, to just get them down. But obviously like if you're typing or writing, it can be really slow to like write down, whereas obviously if you're just saying them, you can just get them straight out, and then you can come back to them later at a time when you can like write them down at a casual pace instead of going crazy on your keyboard. Another way you can do this is, especially if you're revising or something like that, is like either draw something related to it. Like one of the things that I remember most prominently from doing psychology at A-level was by drawing out like one of the studies, and I still remember the study to this day, so it really helps to remember stuff, and it's quite an easy way to kind of like ease yourself into work, to make it fun, to motivate you to do it. Alternatively, you could write a song or something like that. So almost like bringing creative arts into it to kind of like motivate you to kind of like take that first dive into starting the work. Step 7 is to change your environment. I know this isn't possible for everyone, however I really find that it helps me. If you have a space downstairs away from your bedroom, somewhere traditionally for relaxing and chilling, then try and like go somewhere else to work, because personally I find if I'm in my bedroom I can't concentrate, because that's where I just want to chill and have my downtime. So I'll be sat here like with my feet up and just not doing anything. So when I go downstairs, I often find that I'm way more likely to be able to get work done. Alternatively, if you are still at like university, you can go into a library if this is open. Obviously I find that libraries are probably the best places to work because everyone else in them is working, so you kind of have that really great working environment. Book a library slot in advance if you can, and even I would suggest that if you want to work in a different area in your house, either book it out so you know that no one else is going to be in there, but I'd also just suggest that you know in advance that you're going to be down there for a certain period of time at a certain time of day on a certain day. So say tomorrow I'm going to be downstairs working at 3 o'clock until 7. Therefore mentally you also know that you're going to be doing that thing, and you know that at that point you're going to work, and then when it comes along you can then just go downstairs and you know mentally that you're going to be working. And I find that personally for me, if I don't know about it the day before, when it happens on the day I'm like, nah, whatever, I don't need to work, I haven't agreed anything, there's no time set, nothing. So I personally find change your environment really helps. Anyway, if you have enjoyed these tips, please subscribe for more from me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.